Greetings and salutations, friends. It's me again, Character NPC, your host. Well, really, I cheat here. I'm lying to you. I'm the host, I'm the DM, I'm the player characters. It's everything here in this solo 1st edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons campaign. And what an exciting campaign it has been so far, making it up from the basically rules as written in the Dungeon Master's Guide, Player's Handbook, and the Monster Manual. Just had to add a few things, a sprinkling of magic to tie it all together for spell components and for, what else was it? Spell components and weather. There's an encumbrance was already there, but hadn't been exactly so well defined. And so, friends, that led us to our first reason for going anywhere, as we started our players in the what is the module, the village of Hamlet, but is actually Elfwine in my campaign. Our two clerics, who were trained by the priest there in the module's Church of St. Cuthbert. That guy, what was his name? Where did I put there? His name is Father Calmert. Father Calmert, who trained Aetbert and Willam, told them to go to Aratar and retrieve a golden basin, the new basin to be used to make holy water there at the church. If you look up on in the Dungeon Master's Guide, I forget exactly what page it is, but 151 or something like that. It's in the description to this video. It defines how holy water is made, and this gold basin will double the quantity that they can make in one ceremonial session. So, our adventurers decide to head off to Aratar and come back with this big golden basin. Basin. Hello. And that is essentially how the golden receptacle of St. Cuthbert began. And so far, our would-be adventurers moved out of the hex with Elfwine in it into the next and on to the third, and we are about to begin day 14 of Cold Even, when we started the campaign in Cold Even. This is a free day in the calendar that we're using, and I explained that in the beginning where it comes from. Hex 1422 is where we are, but we're about to get into 1523 here. We're 5 miles away from this hex edge right here. And then we'll be headed up again to Aratar. Now, friends, one of the things that I've done so poorly in this solo campaign is to do a couple of things I said you had to be strict about, and that mainly is time. But it's going to look as though like I'm talking about different things, but essentially these are things that are marking off important factors in time in the campaign. And I mentioned rules as written, so there are actual definitions to how this plays out. And one of them that I'm doing terrible at is just the math on the die. It's been so long since I've done anything like played dominoes or rolled dice and had to add numbers for small math. You know, this is one of the downfalls of using computers, kids. I don't want to sound like I'm preaching at you, because I'm certainly, I ain't your father, but you know, I just can't do it. I've been struggling with it. I look back at some of the streams, I'm like, wait a minute, I said 5, but then I added like 13 or something like that. It was ridiculous. So I'm going to make a better effort to make sure that I get the die roll numbers right. Confusing die, mixing them up, choosing the wrong sum is bad. And so one of them I corrected here. I think I had this high yesterday as like a 53 when it should have been a +5. 42 plus 5, so it should have been 47. Got the low right, but had the high totally wrong. Anyway, these details matter, right? And as I put in my channel description and in these videos and things, that's, to me, this is fun. I really enjoy keeping track of all these details, especially as maybe like a year or two goes by and you can look back and see, okay, what happened on that day? All right, well, these were the encounters, and this is what we ate, and this is what the weather was, and all these things really create a campaign. That's what a campaign is, right? Is all these details over time. And of course, it would be better if I had players that I could sit in front of. I would love to have people to actually play first edition AD&D with. But all my friends are older and don't get together and sit face to face anymore. They only play over the computer, and they're like, why don't we play over Zoom or something? And I'm like, I have those computer games in my life, though. I like to play Neverwinter Nights Enhanced. That's what I really do. And I'm looking for a way to maybe include that in some more realistic Dungeons and Dragons that meets what I'm aspiring to do for fun and use my time for, right? I could be just sitting around watching episodes of something on Apple TV or whatever, but instead I'm here playing first edition Dungeons and Dragons, which I love. Okay, I digress here. So that's one thing, getting the math right. Another thing is I'm going to try to mark off time better, and what I mean by that is sometimes I would leave like an encounter space blank and then go on with the day, because I started getting ahead of myself and writing things out and being like, okay, cool, I see how this is playing out. I can write these things down and it helps me keep track of everything, so I can just do it at a glance off the index card, and that's all great. But then if you left that off and you went on a day and a half and you're like, hold on, wait a minute, what happened here? I don't recall, because you're so into what's going on now. Thinking back to what you had lunch yesterday sometimes can be hard. I know you know what I'm talking about. Alright, so that's the second point. The third point is something that I've already harped on myself about. I've got to be better about marking off rounds in combat, right? Time matters. So I'm going to start doing this a little bit better, where I have fewer day cards depending on whether there were any counters. Like this is easy to split this up because there weren't any encounters yesterday. But I kind of have a layout now that kind of works, and then I'll put combats on the other side, so I'll have fewer cards, and I'm going to have a spot there that is 4 rounds when I lay out what it is that we roll from the encounter table. That's what this is the list level appropriate for our adventurers for this particular gaming session. I'll start calling it what it is. The golden receptacle of St. Cuthbert is what this is. So for the golden receptacle of St. Cuthbert, this will be the encounter, the outdoor encounter matrix, we'll call it. Okay. And you can look back at how I did this, and why I did it is because if you don't have level appropriate stuff, you end up having to fight like a hill giant that's in the middle of your commonly populated areas, or a vampire or something that is so high in hit dice that the party would just be slaughtered. I mean, a vampire would just dominate them mentally, suck the life energy out of all of them, leave them dead, and walk away pleasantly filled. Let's get real. But with this, then you don't have those types of scenarios creeping into your game. And this equates to, in a solo game, this equates to what a real dungeon master would do in preparation for his players. How many players are going to show up again if most of them die in the first time they go out adventuring? I know some. I would come back and play again, but it's rarer, I think, for a lot of other people who aren't used to that kind of style of play. Okay, again, I digress. So point is that I'm going to be much more Johnny on the spot about keeping track of in combat the rounds time, but also refine the workflow a little bit so that it's easier for me to also keep track of initiatives and declarations, because it's really important, especially as we get into the near term. We're going to start getting into more complex combats with a lot more going on, and maybe some spells and missile attacks that go on multiple rounds in an attack. And declaration is going to be really important, where I've been fudging it a lot so far. Let's see, what else? Along with that, I just had several places where I got out of sync on what the current whose initiative was it, and who had already attacked. That needs to be kept up with a bit better by myself. You could understand how obvious that is a need for. Okay, so I think I've jibber-jabbered enough here about all this. And, to kind of get back to storyline here, as I mentioned, we're starting the 14th of Cold Even. That's in Hex 1422, which is this one. We're past this bend in the river, and we're 5 miles to Hex 1523, which is this one. 5 miles from that hex side. That's because our max movement rate is 15 miles a day, since we're encumbered. We have heavy load. Everybody's got good armor that can, and everybody else is just carrying what they have to. The spell users are carrying their 45-pound spell books. Go figure. We're all pretty much encumbered. Some at 6, though. That's why we're only able to travel 15 miles a day, is because I think it's Randall Windsor. Let's do some splaining here. Rusey. Randall Windsor, you see he doesn't have any dex bonuses and such, and a 15 strength, where his buddy that he's grown up with, Asher Wildwood the Ranger, has a 17 strength. Okay, now Asher Wildwood has a base movement of 9, and you note he has some dexterity bonuses. And his total weight carried is 975, minus the potential for half a pound or so of the gold that came from the ogre that we killed. I haven't really divvied that up, but it's only 50 gold, so for somebody it's 5 pounds, and that would probably be Randall anyway, and I'll explain through all of this that I'm doing. Okay, so he's 975 coin in weight, that's what this represents. And 10 coin equals a pound, so this is 97.5 pounds is what he's carrying on him total, including his armor and everything. And that puts him in the heavy category. So instead of going in the books with just the armor listing for their weight and encumbrance, I totaled up all of the weight, and that's how, from the master encumbrance table, this is how this is coming out for each character. And that master encumbrance table also gives you crinkle crinkle, paper paper, this from the Dragon's Foot newsletter, Footprints number 7, gives the AD&D first edition weights and things, but this is what's missing, is the strength table that includes, okay, like everybody can carry 500 coin, but then your strength is giving you a little bit more. That's the way the book writes it. It just doesn't give you this chart to go by when it says it gives you a little bit more. So with a 15 strength, he's got, unencumbered 550 coins, so he can carry an extra 5 pounds. But that would be Randall without any bonuses. While Asher Wildwood, having a 17 strength, can carry up to 850 coin. Right? Okay. So this puts him at heavy, which is 3/4 of his movement from 12. He has a 9 base movement, but Randall Windsor has a 6 base movement. So in a full day's walk with their heavy load, at the slowest rate for any member in the party, it's a 6, and that's 15 miles a day. So that's how things arrive there, and why we are where we are, 5 miles away from this hex edge. The day before, as we're getting up in the morning of the 14th, the day before, the 13th, there were no encounters, and it was a good day. It was cloudy, but, we talked and didn't really see anything but the beautiful Wilderland out here, and everything was nice. The day before that, though, was when we fought the giant ant in the morning. And that giant ant ended up really gouging Asher Wildwood in the thigh with his mandibles, crushed his leg, everything. Did a lot of hit points, brought him down to 4, I think he's at right now. Let's look. Yeah, took him down 6 hit points. 5 hit points he's down to now, because he had 11. It took 6. So he's down to 5. So yesterday all day when he walked that 15 miles, he walked it with a crushed thigh. And so you may be asking yourself, well, you have 2 clerics in the party. Why didn't you heal him? Because they both have 2. Count them. Oh, no, he doesn't. I take that back. Oh, yeah, he does. He has 2. 1 create water and 1 cure light wounds on Aetbert. Okay, so Aetbert has no reason not to have used the good faith of St. Cuthbert to heal thy party member. And 2 cure light wounds and a command for William, or Willam. That's not William, it's Willam Pembroke. So, yeah, I have really screwed things up and didn't even heal the party member. One of the important things about that for me is this goes to the portion of the Dungeon Master's Guide when it talks about divvying out, it's after the treasure portion. It's really about experience and rating players. And this would be a perfect example of how the clerics really didn't do a good job at all in that engagement. Didn't even think, I mentioned it during the stream about how, oh yeah, hey, Willam has the bright idea to go run around the backside of the party and go heal Asher. It was during that same encounter. And then after it, play went on, and I was just like thinking about other things, and it was overwhelming, and I totally missed it, and even went on another day without healing a party member. So that's the final note, actually. I almost forgot about that one again as I went on talking about the game. I cannot miss that part. Okay, so to just kind of finish again where we are here, we're 5 miles from this hex side, traveling along the road on this side, on the south side of the river, because that's where we started from, the south side of the river. We've been following it as the way the merchants travel along up and down this river, and we see things on the river too. There are boats, and occasionally there's people fishing or something. It's not like this is totally empty. It just doesn't really generally have inhabitants along the way, so we haven't really been paying attention. Okay, so that begins the day, and of course we have to start with our workflow. Is the way I do it. Where's my workflow? Here we go. I'm gonna have to adapt this now that we're kind of getting into more of a rhythm and everything, but document time and date I did, and it's the morning, and check if things are ready to continue. Did we rest, or are we fully rested? We were. We didn't have any encounters in the middle of the night. That midnight encounter is blank, so we completed that. Have we eaten? We did eat. I checked these off at the end of the play session for that previous day. But it's important to note, in regards to the eating and drinking, yesterday we did not, so we're due for a create water spell to refill our canteens. We have 2 days worth of water on us. And in regards to food, we left Elfwine 1 week ago, the morning we're about to wake up on. We haven't quite woken up yet, is kind of like the timeline goes. We haven't woken up on the 14th. So we left the previous free day. And that's our rations, right? We didn't eat here, we ate here. So I've got these little hash marks for rations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 14th, this will be our last day of rations. And, we're right about halfway mark to getting there. So we are short on food. We're doing fine on water. Don't know how we're going to eat here. So we've got a little bit of uncharted waters ahead where we have to deal with probably a secondary skill for hunting, and the ranger with his tracking abilities, but we'll get to that in a minute. Okay. So we will say we have eaten, and we prayed and studied, so spells didn't change. Everything is the way it was before. And we don't have any food, or, well, we do have food and water to mark off, but I'm not going to mark it off exactly. I'm marking it off here instead of marking it off on the sheets because we're looking at this calendar anyway. So I think it makes better sense, and I'll have some other better symbol probably for the fact that these hash marks are rations. Okay, do we need to forge or hunt? Yes, we do, because this is it. When we in the end of this day and I mark these off, the food will be used, and we'll be starting the 15th without anything to eat through the day. We need to roll for weather. Okay, here's where those numbers come into play that I said I'm going to do a better job with. Let's see how it turns out. It's cold even still. We're starting with a base of 42, and we're going to roll an 8 plus 4, die 8 plus 4 for the high, and a die 10 plus 4 subtracted from 42 for the low. Alright, high first. 8 cider plus 4 is 12. 10 would be 52, plus 2 would be 54. So 54. And the low is 10, plus 4 is 14. So the 10 drop down would be 32. 32 minus 2 would be 30, minus 2 would be 28. 28. That's actually pretty low for us. I don't think we've seen it that low yet. But those were max on the dice, right? Okay. Next thing, oh, I don't know why I'm taking that away, because now we got to do sky conditions. Oh. But we need percentile dice. 11. And it's going to be clear, thankfully. I don't think it really has any. I'm not sure how to deal with that. I need to read between the sky conditions and the chance of precipitation, because if you're always rolling this anyway, then you're going to be clear, but you're going to have a rain. I guess that's because it's through the day or something. So 44%. And we don't, thankfully. Okay. And then our prep work for the day. As I mentioned, Asher Wildwood is injured. And so finally, the clerics are going to wake up with an epiphany, but they feel so, just so like lame for not thinking of it. A complete fail on the cleric scale. They are going to offer to heal Asher, heal his thigh. So cast Cure Light Wounds on him, maybe a couple. I mean, we have 4 in the party. So sad. He walked an extra day like that. Okay. There we go. Cure light wounds. Upon laying his or her hand upon a creature, the cleric causes from 1 to 8 hit points of wound or other injury damage to the creature's body to be healed. This healing will not affect creatures without corporeal bodies, so you can't heal a ghost. Nor will it cure wounds of creatures not living or those which can be harmed only by iron, silver, and or magical weapons. Has to be living, so you could do it below 0, but not after they're dead. Okay. It's reversed. We don't care about that. Operates in the same manner. To hit. Note that cured wounds are permanent only insofar as the creature does not sustain further damage, and that caused wounds will heal or can be cured, just as any normal injury will. This is about cause light wounds is what they're talking about. No, it says cured wounds. Permanently insofar as creatures do not sustain further damage. Yeah. Okay. So, eventually he's going to need a nice long rest to completely recover from all of this adventuring. But for now, he's going to get 1 to 8 hit points back. And Aetbert comes and tells him to lay down and places his hand on his thigh. And, "Oh, St. Cuthbert, I am not worthy. Heal thy man." And he gets 4 hit points left. 4 hit points back, I should say. He took 6, so he's down to 2. And, Willam is going to join in the, with the praying and the bowing and putting his cudgel, his traditional chapeau sect holy symbol of the billet around his neck to his forehead. Picture the Holy Grail, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, with the robed priests who smack themselves in the head with the wooden board. A billet is like a part of a tree. When you split it along the grain, that little slice of a pie, if you think about the circle around a tree trunk, that little slice is what you'd turn into a board if you were a cabinet maker, or shingle if you were doing roofs or whatever. They call that a billet. So that's what he's got around his head. It's a small plank, a small wooden plank, taller than it is wide. They both do. And he prays and puts his plank to his head. "Oh, St. Cuthbert." And he hails another 3, so he's back up to full. Okay. And there was much rejoicing. Terrible, though, that it took all of that until poor Asher Wildwood felt like he was, like the party wanted him to be there. Okay, So that ends the morning. We've used 2 spells for the day. 3. He has everyone put their empty water skins in a pile and continues his prayers and uses his create water as well. So probably not going to be able to continually erase these and put them back. I think it's just going to wear through this paper over a short period of time. Okay. So the 2 cleric boys don their floppy hats that look like, they're the color of Crown Royal bags. It's a fancy color. And everyone has their armor on, and we douse the fire and start to get on the road, heading southeasterly. The gnome Jorbus Bicklemole making some jokes about the antics of the 2 clerics and chiding them about forgetting to even heal a member of the party. I mean, there's going to be no end to that one, And so we roll our morning encounter. No encounter. So we continue along our way, happily, in the clear, sun at our backs, moving our entire 15 miles through the day, feeling blessed that the clerics remembered to cast Cure Light Wounds. These first little clerics. And we make it past that first hex line, and 10 miles through into the next. So we end the day in the evening time as we're thinking about being tired and hungry. We end it about, a little under a third way through this hex. And at that point, we've decided where we're going to camp off the side of the road. Again, the same routine. Off the side of the road, but not too far away. And you can see here the hills are pretty close. So, where it was pretty distant, equidistant in the last couple of hexes, this part, but of those hills there out in the middle of nowhere, pretty close. Let's see what happens in the evening. Oh, we got lucky. 2 days in a row. not much really going on. But I think someone's going to point out that this is the last of our dried rations. As great as they are, you know, we're a little bit concerned about them. How there aren't any more. The value of them is that they're lightweight, right? Not so tasty, but lightweight. And as we prepare to wake up to the last crumbs, so we gave a little bit away, so we're going to have to share a little bit. I think we gave 2 portions away to merchants that came upon us in encounters in the last 3 or 4 days. Offered it to them to see if we could have some time to chat with them, which for us equates to the opportunity to get a rumor, right? And so the day closes and we put someone on watch. It's always Ash or Wildwood in the middle of the night. I don't know how Ash or the Ranger ends up getting lucky enough to be the one to be on guard when rolls happen, but that's the way it was. So Asher's on guard. And we prepare for our midnight encounter roll. Will it happen? Oh, and it does. Let's see what it is. 5. Oh, it's gnolls. Wow. Out of the hills come the gnolls. Barely. 5% too. They're 2 hit dice monsters. So, like the wild boar and the wolves and the giant ants, man, they get a much easier time hitting us than the orcs or the brigands do. I'd much rather be meeting merchants. Okay. So, gnolls it is. How many is it? 1 gnoll, thankfully. He's out scouting. Almost forgot. Gotta check this off. One gnoll. I was smart enough to write some of this stuff down first, so let me get that out of here and then we'll look him up in the book. It is 1. One gnoll. And we'll do rounds over here. And we know it's HD2. Its hit points are going to be 6. That's not too bad. Its AC is 5. Its move is 9. One attack. And it uses a long sword. Okay, I think that's all we really need to know. Oh yeah, all of these armor class 5. I think, what was that? Should have written down what their, I think everybody was going to be leather and shield, or what does that make? 6? No, leather and shield would have been 7, so scale mail. And chain. Okay. Alright, so we'll be able to use the to hit versus armor class for armor class 5. Okay, and the first thing we would do is roll for, I'll just say roll for surprise. Even though distance might be important at this point. And so, just to give a better understanding of the battle space here. We have the party basically centered around the fire, and the fire will be, you know, let's call this the fire. I don't know what that is. I don't know why I'm drawing it like that. That's the fire. Alright, and the magic users stays close to the fire, and the other spell users are pretty close to the fire, except for Jorbus Bicklemole, who, being the illusionist thief, tends to be a little bit outside on the edge of things, so he's about 30 feet away. And the fighter as well is somewhat close. The ranger will be a little bit outside as well, again about 30 feet away from the fire. And because we have a ranger in the party, we are only surprised on a roll of a 1. These being gnolls, they're 1 to 2. Neither one of us are surprised, so we have 6 die 4 for distance. I only have 4 6-siders, so I'm going to roll 4 and then 2. 4, 5, and 5 is 10. 14. Let's see, so 14, basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. So we're in like this scrubby area. You know, I've described this before. If you've ever been to a wide river bottom, it's not nearly as wide a river as it used to be. You'll find that there's lots of, you know, smaller rocks and everything where the river used to have water running, and there'll be scrubby brush and bushes and things around, but not a whole lot of trees for the most part if it was a fast-moving river. Sometimes there are. It depends on the location, but that's what this is more of a rocky, brushy, so, you know, there's little clumps of trees and brush to hide behind depending on your size and such. But for the most part, it's just open land with the river behind us, and that the road would be behind us as well. So it's a distance to the river of a couple of 100 yards, okay, at least a couple 100 yards. And 140 out here would be beyond firelight, and everyone except for Jorbis Bickelmole has regular vision, so it's going to be somewhere around the double the distance, visual distance of the firelight, about 160. So I mention that because with the fire being here on the edge, it will make it a lot easier for me to say, okay, he just enters the map from over here in this direction. And so we have this lone gnoll, and he is, you know, hiding. He's basically scouting us out, so he's trying to be stealthy. And Asher Wildwood, being the one who's up, notices him as he basically enters this edge of the map at range. And there's no surprise, so he realizes that he's been spotted, and the jig is up. So whatever he's, you know, hiding behind here isn't so, you know, it's not blocking vision for very much, you might say. So being discovered on both sides, we will go through our declarations. The gnoll is going to try to escape. He's scouting, and it's just him. So he's got something to say, and he is going to try to leave. All right. Asher Wildwood is going to try to notch his bow and get ready to make a ranged attack, and he makes his little scrubland bush hen noise that Randall knows to be his little signal. You know, again, these two grew up kind of together. Randall has a father who's a retired fighter in the module of Village of Hamlet, which I'm using for the Village of Elfwine in this campaign. So his father and Otis live on the same farm, and while Otis isn't his father, he is, he's the guy who acts as his dad, and these guys kind of grew up together. So they know their little ins and outs, and he makes his little brush chicken noise, and Randall hears it and immediately reacts and starts to get everybody else up and warn them. So we've definitely been woken up to an encounter during our sleep. And waking up, getting ready to fire a missile strike, escaping. We'll roll initiative. Oh, and we win initiative. So I take my first bow shot. I'm gonna step up a little bit, as much as I can, and still make that shot just to see if I can't reduce the distance a little bit. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, say 110. $110 for, where is it? Short bow. 150 is long, so this is at medium range. You'll get a -2. But along with that -2, he's also going to get a +2. Actually, just a +1. +1 for his bow. Armor class 5. No adjustment. So he gets a plus. An overall -1. Overall -1 against armor class 5. First level fighter with a -1, so he needs a 16. It would be a 15. But he gets a -1 after he gets, it would be -2, but he gets a +1 because of his dexterity. So he needs a 16. Oh, 12. Nope, misses him. Alright. And then it would be our actual attacks, and Asher is going to have his second bow shot, but everyone else now is awake and active, and Randall, seeing what Asher is doing, runs his full movement rate, which is 6. And takes out his bow that's it. He's going to have his attack with the 16. He misses. And the gnoll then is going to run what did I say his movement was? 9. So he's an additional 90 feet. Let's see, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plus 9 would be 17. Okay, 170, so that's long range. Next round with his bow. And 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110. 110. So 190? I forgot what I rolled now. I'm going to say it's 190. Because that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It would be 8 and 9. Yes. I said 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110 plus 9 would be 200. Over 200 yards. I mean, essentially, that's it. I'm going to say that, next round, let's roll initiative. That's what we're going to do. He's going to try and take his last shot. I don't think he'll get another shot because he's already run off his 90 feet. Yeah, you know what? It doesn't even make any sense for him to take his next shot. Unless even if we win initiative, it's 170. He gets a -5. I'll try. Why not? And we lose initiative anyway, so he escapes. Again, I forget the rounds. See, I'm supposed to be making those rounds. I made all other kinds of notations. That was our midnight. Yes, and we rolled 2 initiatives, so it was round 2. But still, I'm not doing a very good job there. Guess I'm getting better. Alright, so the Gnoll Scout escaped, and we all gather up to discuss it in a little more detail around the fire and huddle in for the night. Alright, so that's going to make this the 15th. Of Cold Even. And now we're in Hex 1523. And we start We were 5 miles, so we're going to be in 10 miles. And we're heading towards we are headed towards 1632. So hard to read these old maps. We're in 1523, 1622. Yes. All right, let us check the weather. Alright, an 8 for the 8 plus 4, so that's 12. 10 would be 40, 52, so 54 again. And our low, 10 plus 4, 7, so 37. Wait, 36. Wait, what am I doing here? See how it gets? 3 plus 4 is 7. We're taking out the 2, so that's 5. And, yeah, 2, so that's 5. So that's 40 minus 5 is 35. Duh. Alright, and I never saw I was smarter than a 5th grader. I just play D&D better. No, I don't even do that. I've heard some kids play D&D really well. They come up with some imaginative stuff. It's amazing. Let's roll for sky conditions. Yesterday it was clear. Got the right die? Yes, we do. 2. Clear again. We're on a roll. That's awesome. Now let's hope there's no precipitation. And there is precipitation. Go figure. It would be clear and then it would start raining. I don't understand how that works. For it to say that it's clear, but then there be possible temperature extremes, determine new. This is just other stuff here. It's extremes. Determine sky conditions. Roll percent to determine if precipitation will occur during the day. This roll is affected by terrain. Well, we know it doesn't really affect it by planes. Base chance of precipitation. Yeah, okay. Well, we're doing what we should. Okay. So we're back here on the rain table. $72. 72 is more thunderstorms. It was clear, but now we have thunderstorms. Great. We have the minimum weather conditions. 15% chance it's going to stay. At least it's not tropical storms. Thunderstorms and 15%. Okay. And thunderstorm, it says, precipitation is die 8 in inches. Wow. 8 inches of rain through the day, like the tropical storms were before. And it would be 8 inches in 4 hours. Die 4 hours. So this is another gully washer, probably. 1 hour. Yeah, 8 inches in 1 hour. Jeez. And so that means movement is back down to half. 3/4 normal vision and infravision, ultravision. Tracking is minus 10% per turn cumulative. Wow. We could get lost a lot easier. And the wind speed is 4 die 10. Wind speed is 13 miles an hour. Okay. Well, dear friends, a gloomy end through the day. I guess we get started thinking that we're headed somewhere. But as we continue on the journey, getting our day's gear together, the skies don't stay clear for long. And before we know it, even though it's still morning, the rain begins, clouds set in, and we make our morning encounter check. Having eaten the last of our food, we're feeling kind of glum. Oh, and there's an encounter. What will it be, friends? Well, friends, this is where I'm going to leave it. I think it's a good breaking point. We know that we are going to have an encounter in the morning, and that's where we stopped. So we need to continue from that point on. That'll be important. Who knows what it is yet? Haven't rolled. But man, another 8 inches of rain on the road, back down to half movement. I mean, we are on a road to nowhere. I mean, man, we're barely 3 hexes away, 10 miles in, right here, abouts. Close to the hills still kind of coming around. Through this day, I thought we would get to the 25-mile mark, but we're not. Now we're back down to 7.5. 7.5. Ugh. Okay. I see the value of horses. Maybe Willam will talk to his dad about a deal on some horses for us, or at least a mule. Maybe we could take a pack mule with us, expecting to eat it along the way or something. I don't know. It sounds terrible, doesn't it? It's all sounding terrible. But it's been so much fun doing this. I'm really enjoying it. The storyline's playing itself out. This guy who got away, I'm calling this part of the deal. The ogre that we ran into, and now a Knoll scout we saw, caught him red-handed, watching us. Got away. Who knows where that storyline's going to go. That's so cool. So cool. So I'm probably going to do another stream here relatively soon with some DM prep using the Tome of Adventure Design and put those connected threads together and see where that story goes without really introducing it myself, right? It was all solo, non-metagaming. So cool. Anyway, thanks for joining me. If you watch this later on, hey, enjoyed it. Hope to see you on another stream. Bye-bye.